What's up everyone, it's me Galford and we're back with another video. As of making this, we've just passed 300 subscribers, so thank you guys for the continued support. I really appreciate it. Anyways, are you tired of hearing that World of Warcraft is this antisocial game which is just made for sweats and no lives? Well, if you are, let me introduce you to Argent Dawn, the largest role-playing server on the EU. On the 11th of February 2005, Blizzard decided to release two new role-playing servers, Elden Ring and Argent Dawn EU. What was different about these servers compared to your average run-of-the-mill PvE or PvP server? Well, they hosted a microcosm of players who didn't rely on new raids or arena seasons to be subscribed. Essentially, role players, or RPers for short, would create their characters and immerse themselves into the world. You could be a paladin of Lordaeron who had taken refuge in Stormwind, or even a forsaken rogue devoted to the Banshee Queen. The world was vast, and role players in vanilla made good use of it. From making campfires in the woods, going on adventures with friends and facing off against dangerous threats, this was the norm for everyone. There weren't any world-ending threats at that time in the game, which was a massive plus. RP PvE was also very popular and common amongst roleplayers back in the day, though since the release of world markers at the start of Cataclysm, RP PvE events have pretty much become obsolete. Most roleplayers would rather host dungeon mastered events similar to D&D. They have dice rolls, raid warnings, and world markers. Rather than killing actual NPCs in the game, these events are seriously story driven. It was safe to say that roleplay was picking up some heat on the servers, and a trend was starting to form where players were actually migrating to come and play on them. And by September 2005, Blizzard released the RP server which would rival Argent Dawn and Elden Ring. Though soon enough, RPers quite quickly realized that one downside of RP PvP servers was that you couldn't actually unflag from PvP, and they quickly became a griefing hotspot. So most of these players would end up eventually coming back to Argent Dawn. This server was called Defias Brotherhood, though nowadays it's pretty much inactive and dead. And so, Argent Dawn for the next years continued to grow and evolve from something which initially started as relatively primitive. A set of guidelines and rules were pulled from the Warcraft manual and established by the players. Things like immersion-breaking names were forced by GMs to name change. And on the 24th of May 2006 came the release of MRP, which was the precursor add-on to TRP. Essentially, this gave players the freedom they needed to customize a character profile and see other characters' profiles as well. To this day, some players still use MRP, and it's played a significant role on roleplay servers and still is remembered very fondly. Also at this point in time, guilds started to fill niches and pockets of lore which had otherwise remained untouched by developers for years. If you were a fan of the Scarlet Crusade, the Silver Hand, or Alterac, well, chances are someone had a guild for you. Since roleplay didn't rely on the conventional means of content, as long as there were still roleplayers to interact with, there would always be a way to create content, and it's no trouble finding players on RP servers either, because there's no sharding or layering. The thing about Argent Dawn today is there's never nothing to do, but back in its prime, it had populated towns of players. Even Goldshire used to not be Goldshire. Players would create huge story-driven campaigns for everyone to participate in, and even sometimes you had these massive feuds and riots suddenly spring out of nowhere, plunging the realm into chaos. This was often stirred up by the most popular guilds on the Alliance, all vying for control. And not to mention actual RP PvP campaigns, which would consist of 1 to 2 week large-scale battles arranged between the combined forces of Horde and Alliance guilds. These used to be actual PvP battles, though in patch 8.1, the introduction of the Elixir of Tongues brought an element to RP where players started preferring emote battles instead, which to me is a bit of a shame. I miss large-scale RP PvP battles. On the calmer side of Argent Dawn, you have the gatherings, festivals, tournaments, and much more spice of life orientated events, which have remained a consistent feature of the server to this day. Through 19 years of roleplay, it's no surprise that significant events have not been forgotten by players either. These events are what would later become part of the server lore. And believe it or not, thousands of stories, characters, guilds, and screenshots over the years have been archived to this day, all on the website Argent Archives. Unlike other servers, Argent Dawn has recognizable characters who are almost figureheads of the community simply because of the time they spend creating events and roleplay for others. Of course, it's not like they're anointed or chosen, it's just some names are known across the server more than others. What has stood out about roleplay to people is its replayability. The fact that you can log in every day in this persistent world, find something new, meet someone new, and overall have a good time with your friends is something quite unique in WoW. I think there's a big misconception concerning roleplay without stating the obvious trope of RP is not gold share. I believe outsiders or players who don't roleplay presume roleplay as sitting in fields, playing pretend, and everyone being best friends. But this couldn't be further from the truth. The complexity of what goes on in these servers and the level of dedication behind the players is something truly remarkable. Not to mention the skills that some players have shown in storytelling. There's of course lots of drama at times, but that's gonna happen whatever you do in a video game. One of my fondest memories on Argent Dawn is when I got randomly invited to a meeting at Stromgarde with my guild. We all turned up thinking it was going to be this normal, boring political meeting and had absolutely no idea what was about to occur. When the event started, everyone was sort of gathered around, we were saying hello to new faces and stuff, just waiting around, and then all of a sudden, all these other guilds started appearing. Then the leader who had invited us to the event was arrested on charges of murdering several other characters by these other guilds. And we were just sort of standing around thinking, what the hell just happened? So, what did we do next? Well, the remaining people at the meeting banded together and schemed on freeing the leader. We reached out to other characters, other guilds, and forged alliances, and over the course of like 2 or 3 days in Stromgarde, it was just complete and utter chaos. You had alliance characters battling in the streets till like 2 in the morning. There were executions, betrayals, and just about everything you could think of. And for someone who hadn't really witnessed stuff like that before in roleplay, it was like, wow, this is complete madness, but it's very good fun. To me, the magic of roleplay servers is these spontaneous moments, which you just can't predict. The game just can't match them, and you end up playing WoW till like 3 in the morning with all your friends on voice call. On Argent Dawn especially, there are plenty of different niches and styles of RP. You've got Death Knights, Paladins, Orcs, and plenty more, so you're not just bound to one singular theme as well. Another plus is that there is both activity on the Horde and Alliance on Argent Dawn, whereas on US servers you will have to choose between Moonguard and Wormrest Accord. So what is the current state of Argent Dawn? Well, a lot has changed since the old days. GMs no longer enforce name changes, Gold Shire has become a thing, and a big issue for roleplayers is the current lore. There used to be this symbiotic relation between lore and roleplay in World of Warcraft, though after expansions like Shadowlands, Blizzard has pretty much shattered that connection. But here's hoping to War Within that will bring some potentially interesting developments. So if you're here considering giving RP a shot on Argent Dawn, I'd say definitely give it a try. There's so much to this server which people probably don't know or is very much overlooked. Anyways, on that note, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and see you next time. Peace out.